His disciples left the synagogue, they entered the house of Simon and Andrew with James and John. Now, Simon's mother-in-law was in bed with a fever, and they told him about her at once. He came and took her by the hand and lifted her up. Then the fever left her, and she began to serve them. That evening at sundown, they brought to him all who were sick or possessed with demons, and the whole city was gathered around the door. And he cured many who were sick with various diseases and cast out many demons. And he would not permit the demons to speak because they knew him. In the morning, while it was still very dark, he got up and went out to a deserted place, and there he prayed. And Simon and his companions hunted for him. When they found him, they said to him, "Everyone is searching for you." He answered, "Let us go to the neighboring towns so that I may proclaim the message there also, for that is what I came out to do." And he went throughout Galilee, proclaiming the message in their synagogues and casting out demons. This is the gospel of the Lord. Simon's mother-in-law was in bed with a fever, and they told him about her at once. We hear in the gospel story the healing of Simon's mother-in-law. Having just come from the synagogue where he had healed a man with an unclean spirit, Jesus enters Simon's home and learns that Simon's mother-in-law is in bed with a fever. She is so sick, she cannot even get out of bed to greet her guests, let alone offer them the kind of hospitality she may well have taken pride in. We don't know who else was in the home. It's easy to imagine that Simon's wife was there. Were there children in the home? We have no idea what Simon's wife's name is or what his mother-in-law's name is. Her only identity is that she is Simon's mother-in-law. In this family, it seems like she may be the main female in the household, and she is sick enough to have taken to her bed with what I imagine is a serious, burning fever. And this is scary stuff. Jesus goes to her, takes her by the hand, lifts her up, and her fever leaves. In his gesture of reaching toward the woman, touching her, Jesus crosses with great intention into her condition, her realm. He steps into her world, which Jesus, by his presence, reveals as being sacred. Just as he did in the holy space of the synagogue, Jesus extends his healing in this humble home. In response, Simon's mother-in-law gets up and begins to prepare food and serve Jesus and his companions. I wonder what she served. I've heard some people joke about this, saying, "Oh, great, she's healed so she can cook dinner." I can imagine that her healing was more than relieving her of a fever, a physical healing, but also a social healing by restoring her place in the family and as a vital and active participant in the community. Usually in stories of Jesus's healing, that person runs to tell others of the miracle, often shouting and retelling the experience in detail. Not Simon's mother-in-law. She doesn't say a thing. At first glance, it seems like she who has no name may be stepping back into the shadows with all of the other unnamed, unknown people in the room. Instead, she steps seamlessly back into the role of the helper behind the scenes, quietly providing comfort. Her silence speaks volumes. The mere act of her serving Jesus and his companions, her ministering to them in this basic bodily way, provides eloquent testimony in the vocabulary that she has at hand. It is gratitude and love in action. It is a sermon in supper. She is lavish with the language she knows, using it to proclaim and give praise for what Jesus has done. This healing has brought health and hope, and her gratitude is abundantly, if quietly, clear in every morsel her guests ate. But not all healing is this easy. Simon's mother-in-law was doubly blessed to have her healthy energy and her place in the family restored to how it was. I wonder how long she had been ill. Once someone found themselves healed by Jesus, he or she had to figure out who they were now and where they fit into society. The story of the man born blind comes to mind. In a nutshell, when Jesus gave him his sight, the man was no longer welcome to earn a living by begging at the city gate. His parents disowned him, and he ended up following Jesus because he had nowhere else to go. He had to learn how to live differently once he was given sight. Being healed can be hard work. And unexpected healings, epiphanies, can be especially hard work because it requires taking responsibility for what has happened. Representative Dean Phillips of Minnesota gave an emotional address on the House floor this past Thursday evening, saying that he had not fully understood how privileged he is until the deadly Capitol riot on January 6th. Addressing the House, Phillips recounted the events, recalling that lawmakers had looked for objects to defend themselves when the Capitol was breached and realized that a pencil was about all they had. Phillips said, "But I'm not here this evening to seek sympathy or just to tell my story, but rather to make a public apology for recognizing that we were sitting ducks in this room as the chamber was about to be breached. I screamed to my colleagues to follow me across the aisle to the Republican side of the chamber so that we could blend in, And with that statement, he got choked up. Phillips explained that he believed he and his colleagues would be safe from the rioters if they were mistaken for Republican lawmakers. However, he said that he realized that blending in was not a viable option for lawmakers of color. Phillips said, "So I'm here tonight to say to my brothers and sisters in Congress and all around our country, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. For I had never really understood what privilege really means. It took a violent mob of insurrectionists and a lightning bolt moment in this very room. But now I know. Believe me, I really know." Representative Dean Phillips was unexpectedly given his sight. He had an unasked for experience of spiritual healing. He saw. He was changed and is learning how to be differently. This is a step toward healing of something greater than himself, a step toward healing of his community. By publicly apologizing to his colleagues of color, Dean Phillips, like Simon's mother-in-law, who upon being healed, went straight to the task of serving supper to Jesus and his friends, Dean Phillips went straight to the task of seeking reconciliation, of righting the wrong of privilege within himself with humility and contrition. Being healed is hard work. I'd like to close with a poem by Jan Richardson. This is called the healing that comes. I know how long you've been waiting for your story to take a different turn, how far you have gone in search of what will mend you and make you whole. I bear no remedy, no cure, no miracle for easing of your pain. But I know the medicine that lives in a story that has been broken open. I know the healing that comes in ceasing to hide ourselves away with fingers clutched around the fragments we think are none but ours. See how they fit together, these shards we have been carrying, how in their meeting, they make a way we could not find alone. And that's all she wrote, folks.